were individuals, and each had dignity and character to be loved. And as we've looked at San Francisco and we go around, we see these things lived out in so many different ways in our city. It is the city of St. Francis, and we see that name as I see my name. Not that I live into it every day, but it's something that's aspirational. It's something that is pushing me forward. And for us as San Franciscans, how do we start to think about the man in our everyday lives? If we're going to be a city of compassion, right, to love one another, to seek peace and justice for one another, these are all our values, right? But we have to remember who embodies that, and it's St. Francis. And if we think more and more and more about him, maybe our city will change as we individually change and be more like our namesake. So that's why we're here. That's why we want you guys to be in that conversation, in sort of opening our eyes and recognizing the spirit of St. Francis throughout our city. So I hope your conversations have already been kind of going in that direction. Yeah, so that's my intro.
How many did you meet somebody new that you hadn't met before in the city?
That's good. All right.
How many of you have thought about the name of the city and the life of St. Francis of Assisi and made that connection? Like, that's kind of where I was here I've been here 31 years, and it took me about 20 years before I started to put what Yomi was talking about, the name of the city and the life of St. Francis. And then I did this informal survey of asking all kinds of different people from, I could name our neighborhoods. But if St. Francis lived in your neighborhood, would that be a downer? Or do you have any dirt on St. Francis? And I'm at least 100 people deep, informal survey, but people are surprisingly positive about who this guy is in the little bit they know him. And few people made the connection that the image bearer of our city is one of the most well-lived lives recorded in history. Matter of fact, no one person has more written about them in the Library of Congress than St. Francis of Assisi. Musical, plays, poetry, this troubadour, jugular, this man of peace and simplicity and joy who loved the animals. We're the only city in the world, major city, that carries his name. It's like a no-brainer. Cities are so divided with lines of division, economic inequality, and we're the one city that has the name that would unify everybody no matter where they come in from. It's like an automatic home. We can just slide into the name if we chose to live it out. So we're not really complicated guys. We thought we'll just run up the flag and see who gathers at the pool and let you guys just meet each other. And frankly, we just sealed it to like 45 people because we knew numbers isn't where it's at. It's really in the deeper connection of just our friends. So you're here because somebody personally invited you, and the walkaway is that you've met somebody you didn't know, you've connected the name with the city, and we're just delighted that you've got now something to kind of look into if you want to stay curious on it. So the next little way that we want to turn it back to you guys is find a person that doesn't have the color of dot that you do, and ask them, what's wrong with you? What is up with you? Don't you like people? How many of you have yellow dots? Let's do a quick, woohoo! All right, so yellow kind of rules. How many of you have the
magenta, the pink, the fuchsia, the earth,
yeah, the earth and the animals. These are the earth and animal folks. All right, who's peace and justice? Who went green?
Yeah.
Thank you. And who went red? Arts and music.
All right,
Tim and Amy, and it's all in the back there, Chris. And then who went simplicity and joy with blue?
Ooh, we got some. All right.
I could always I know. That's what I was thinking too.
That sounds nice. Yeah, I'll take that.
Find somebody who's got opposite dots
You
for
mean
the
I gotta figure it
conversation.
out? Yeah, it's
Both